How's everybody doing tonight? Welcome to the North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project. Thank you for coming in tonight and tuning in. This is Tom, your host. Just want to thank everybody for your prayers with the loss of my mom. I really appreciate that. Really tough time and needed in my life, and something I wasn't expecting to happen. But I dealt with it and I got through it, and I really appreciate all your prayers and all your support and everyone that helped kind of fund my trip up north because that wasn't easy as well. So I just want to thank everyone and God bless you all for all your support and your help and your prayers. That really meant a lot to me. Like seriously, from the bottom of my heart, that meant a lot to me. So wanted to give you all a big shout out and thanks to all the people that were there for me when I needed them. So yeah, I'm doing better. Wasn't easy to deal with. Was a lot of bad stuff I had to deal with on top of my mom's funeral with family members. I'm not even going to go into that extent, but wasn't easy. Wasn't easy to deal with. So I got through it. You know, the important ones were by my side, and that's all that matters. So we're going to bring on our guest. We have Squatch'n Indiana. I'm glad to have him on. We've been talking for quite some time. We've been friends for quite some time now. We've been kind of shooting messages back and forth and sharing pictures and ideas and things like that and kind of theories and stuff. So here he is. Welcome.
Osio, hello, my friends.
What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot, Thomas. We're just hanging out here and glad to be on. Thank you very, very much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on tonight. We almost wasn't sure if you were going to make it, but you came on last minute. I know you had to put some stuff going on, so you had to handle that. So
yeah, I had to run and get me some coffee too.
there you go. There you go. So if not many people know about you, if you want to kind of give your name and introduce yourself and how you kind of got started into this and kind of go from there, and then we'll start talking about your expeditions and your research.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. My real name is Mark Holt, HOLTMARK, and I go as Who Billy out there. When it's just a nickname a friend of mine gave me, and it kind of stuck. But Squatch'n Indiana came from just an idea that I had that I belong to a team called Bigfooting Indiana with Matt McGuire, and because of my workload, I am not able to go out with Team Bigfooting, and so I started kind of branching out on my own, and I have Matt's full support. He really likes what I'm doing and actually likes how I do things. So he may be taking on some of the stuff that I do, but because I don't know much about video editing or anything like that. I just kind of shoot from the hip, and yeah, everything I shoot is non-edited, and I just if it looks good, I keep it. If I may have to do it a couple of times, but I just take my time while I'm out there and everything, and try to respect the Squatches and everything, and what it is. Ask their permission, so to speak, which we'll get into later. But I it was just an insatiable draw to start doing this, and I actually started to walk away from doing this, but the more that I did, the more I saw, and I as I'm out and I do camping, and I had actually done trail service and stuff, the more I saw things that they were doing, so I really felt that I want people to know about them to a degree, but I also want I have a people like people ask me, well, what is it you look for? And of course, you have non-believers and all that, but so I like to show some of the evidence that I find out there, and like
Mm-hmm.
I just started my YouTube channel, but Squatch'n Indiana, but I actually got started. I was just out taking pictures and come across a very large footprint out on a trail that I actually helped make.
That'll
I
do it.
was,
That'll do it.
oh yeah, yes it will. And I was like, holy smokes, that thing was like 3 times the size of my 12.4E. But that's not the first time I've actually found evidence. I actually saw one in deep southern Indiana, actually doing some trail service with the Hoosier Hikers Council. down in deep southern Indiana on the American Discovery Trail. I don't know if you've heard about that, but it goes from
I think I've heard of that.
Delaware.
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes from Delaware to California, and from east to west coast. And I was going down to do some trail service in Harrison Crawford State Forest, excuse me. And I was driving down a forest road, going real slow with my had my window down, had my arm out, just like any other country boy would, And I saw this fox run out in front of me as I'm driving down this forestry service road, and I thought, oh wow, man, look at that fox. That's really cool. I've never seen one out here in the wild like this. Of course, I'm in the middle of nowhere, deep southern Indiana, hills and valleys. I mean, we down towards the Ohio. And so I'm driving real slow, not to stir up any dust. And I look over, and not 12 feet from me is big, tall, and hairy. And I was like, and I just sat there in amazement. I thought, man, that's one fuzzy tree. And then I saw two legs, and I looked up, and he's just standing there, still as can be. And the next thing I know, I was like, he's just standing there, like, oh, he saw me, and I almost hit a tree, and I this is 1996 now. This is, but I remember it like it was yesterday. And he kind of was looking around like this, like, oh crap, he saw me, and he turned and took off through the thicket, which was like dime nickel quarter size thicket, just all. And he went through it like it was butter, and went down the ravine and come up the hill. And I hit my truck because I was like, what the heck? And I went to raise, my hand up to rub my face, like that. And as he went down the ravine and went up the ridge, and he turned to see what I was doing. And I guess he caught me in mid to rub my face, and he turned around and went like this and disappeared over the ridge. And I was like, I did not just see what I saw. And it took me years to even comprehend what it was that I saw. And I didn't talk about it. I'd asked my dad what if, who was an avid coon hunter. I've shotgun, squirrel, rabbit, uh, deer, muzzle loaded, bow hunted, and I've never seen anything like that day. And I just kind of dismissed it, like, okay, I don't know what that was. My dad said, oh, it's probably some football player in a suit or something, And I just said, yeah, okay, whatever you think. And but and there was a couple of more episodes that I kind of just like, yeah, okay, whatever, you just disbelief, until one day I was camping with a buddy of mine, and he's like, I got somebody I want you to meet. And I met Matt McGuire, a Bigfoot in Indiana, and I sat down and talked to him. And then I met Greg Yost, the Squatch man, and talking with them two, and everything just kind of fell right into place. And
Oh yeah, real quick, Greg Yost is the greatest, man. He's the most humble dude. He'll take
oh
anybody out in
yeah,
the trail, and you've got to experience the whole Squatch Man freaking phenomenon.
oh
So
yeah,
that's awesome.
oh
And
okay,
I
man,
want you to tell your story. I want you to tell your story about Greg because that's so awesome. And I
okay,
like
okay.
he gave you a nickname and all that. We got to hear that.
Yeah, let me tell you, the first time
Yeah.
that we went out with Greg was with Matt, and which is, and I don't want to give away the area right now because it's an active investigation area, the whole area that we're going to. So because we've got some ongoing things, activity right now, and which you and I have discussed this week, but. We went out later that night. I went back, and And I said, well, hey, I'm all enthralled, and my head's like, my head's just a pounding because all the memories are starting to come back and stuff, and of all the encounters that I've had with these guys, the Squatches, and because of some of the weird stuff that I've actually had happen to me. Because I usually go out by myself, and people would always say, "Aren't you afraid?" I'm like, "Man, I'm out there in the woods, man. I've got God on my side, and if He's for me, who's against me?" So I never really paid any attention to anything. I just appreciated what he provided in nature and everything. So it just, I just love being out there, the smell, the feel, the sounds, the what I'm seeing, and especially the smells. It's just awesome. Just it's better. Colin Fletcher, who wrote several books, I like how he put it. Uh, we rough it enough in town, so I go out to smooth it out while I'm out there in the woods. So, but with Greg, we got together and we went squatching that night, and Matt says, "Whatever you do," he says, "I've met him." He goes, "Kind of stay close to him." I said, "Oh, okay." And I just felt something like, man, there's something special about this guy. So Matt and I are. Matt's on one side of him and I'm on the other. And Greg being tall, he's kind of hard to keep up with. And, I'm 5'11" and I'm a fat guy, but man, Greg, I swear he's got some Squatch DNA in him. So, because he can move. But so we go out on the trail, and he stops a little bit, and we're talking before we go. We're at the trailhead, and so we're out there, and I'm thinking to myself, hey, this is kind of a chilly night and everything. And it was supposed to be a full moon that night too, which is really weird. It was kind of late October, but we still at that time, this is like 3 or 4 years ago, and I and again I had um, some a couple experiences with the Squatches, and some are pretty close close at heart too, which is kind of neat. But so there's a group of about 11 or 12 of us, and we're on the trail, and we're trying to keep our not have any lights or anything. I've got a headlamp that has red and everything, and we uh, we walk back with Greg, and so I'm playing. I play a Native American flute, and it's a blue bear flute from Tennessee, and really they hand make these, burn the holes and everything. So um, so I play a little bit of that, and as we're walking, and we get to this one section. He goes, "Hold on, hold on." He goes, I'm starting to feel something. So I'm standing here, and Greg is within elbows reach of me, because I figure if there's something going to happen, I want to be real close to this guy. And then Matt's on the other side of him, and the temperature dropped like 20 degrees like that, and it's about 10:30 at night, and we're on the trail. The trail is called the Tecumseh Trail, and we're standing there, and he's like, "Hold on, hold on." He goes, "You feel that?" And every hair on my body just went, poof, and it was like, I don't know, I sounds silly, but it was like spidey sense, if you will. But and I go, "What the heck is that?" And Matt's on the other side. He looks over at me. He goes, "You feel that?" And Greg's like, if you know Greg, he's like, "Oh, you feel that too, huh, man?" And I'm like, "Wow, that feels like electricity going through me." Then all of a sudden, off in the woods, about maybe 30 yards from us, I see this blue light. And now the moon is past us, way, way in the back. You could barely see it because there's still a little bit of canopy there. And for Indiana at this time of October. And Greg goes, and his arm, he's got pretty long arms. He's like 6'3". He goes, "Hey man, because look at that eye shine." And I take his arm and I go, but what's that way over there? And you see this blue thing just kind of moving, and I'm like, "What is that?" And Matt's like, "What the heck is that?" I said, "Dude, I don't know what that is." And I looked over and I saw the eye shine. I go, "Oh wow." And so Greg speaks to him and says, "My friends, we are here," and I had left some chocolate bars back at a bench. Um, taken them out of the wrappers and kept the wrappers, and I set them on the bench. And it was like somebody turned on the air condition. It was just the weirdest thing. I don't know how to explain it, but the temperature dropping. And the next thing I know, Greg asks them, says, "Hey, is there any way you guys can let us know that it's okay for us to be out here?" And the next thing I know, you hear a whoop, and I can't even begin to express what it sounds like. I do a really poor job in it, but it was like resonating all around us. They may have been up in a tree, I don't know, but it um, it was nothing like what you hear on TV. To hear one is is a real treat to hear one. And and then he goes, "Oh, well, thank you, my friends. We appreciate our." And he goes, he goes, "Hey, say something about the candy. Say something about the." And I was like, my friends, I had left you some candy back at the bench back there. If you would like it, um, is that okay? Could you let me know that that's okay? I left it for you or your little ones if they would like it. It is okay to eat." And and Greg goes, "If that is okay, will you let us know? Blink or maybe give us a whistle." And the next thing I know, I hear like that, and that sounded like it came from behind us, and there was nobody behind us because it's just me, Greg, and Matt, and everybody else is kind of back that way, and because they're back down the trail, and but everybody's standing and just listening to us three, and
Quick
so
question. I got to break you down real quick. Matt wants to know about the big alpha that you saw together.
oh yeah, we were it was several weeks ago. We were out in the rain actually, and we're at this one hunter pull off, and we were sitting there, and way in the back is this kind of like a maintenance entrance to this tower. And so you see this light, and it's just a maintenance entrance, and it has a little bit of a light coming off, so you got a little bit of a down this trail, and you see this trail, and we're sitting there, and I'm playing my flute, a little bit, and he's like, "Hey man, play your flute." So I'm like, just and the next and he's like, "Hey, I got some movement," and you could see something moving over in this clearing. So we're kind of, he's like, "Hey, play it." He tries to get the other guys. We got Aaron and a couple other gentlemen with us, and he reaches out. He's like, "Hey, hey, hey, check this out." like that. He says, I think I got something. He goes, start playing. So I started playing again. Excuse me. And next thing I know, so those guys are back there, horsing around and stuff, you know, and I'm like looking, I'm like, what the heck is that? He's like, what? I go, look, like it. And down the trail, we see something like huge go across the trail because it breaks the light. And I'm like, he goes, did you see that? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how big was that? I go, I don't know. I said, that was huge. So it was, Tom, that thing was gigantic. I don't know. It was every bit of 8 to 9 feet tall. Just the silhouette that we saw go across from this grove to this grove and down the trail. And I want to say it was probably 30, 40 yards in front of us. And at that time I was kind of like, yeah, I'm ready to leave. Because that was pretty good size.
Yeah, that's big because the one I saw in Canada was probably at least 10 plus feet tall because it filled in a whole tree, like a circular tree line in the woods. Like, when you look in the tree line and you see an opening, well, this opening was at least 10 to 12 foot tall, the opening of the circle,
Yeah.
and it was probably about 6 or so foot wide. This thing filled the whole damn circle up from 70 yards away, and all you saw was a big black silhouette of a body, of just a big stout body. And we had that hair raising moment, like you said, the electric charge in your body, the hair on the back of your neck, all that.
Yep.
And it was amazing. And then we got flanked out of there by a bunch of them. They were running us out. But that's a whole nother story, and I've talked about that several times. But I know the feeling you got. Yeah, it's an awesome feeling you can't explain. It's like your body frequency is just completely off, and you don't know what to freaking do. It's like fight or flight.
When we had went back down to the area that where I'd done my original video for Squatch'n Indiana, and Matt says, "Hey, I want to go back down to that area and see and maybe leave some gifts." So we went back down to the area because I had told him, I said, "Man, there's something special about this back there. I didn't want to go back here by myself because I just got kind of like, there's a reason that X is up there." And I saw some other stuff. I'm like, so we went back down to the area and we found even more and some things that are going on. We found fresh breaks. We found a tree upside down in the ground. It wouldn't move. It just you could put your hand. I mean, it was every bit about the size of a basketball upside down, and there was fresh breakage and everything. And you can check the video out.
Yeah.
But we had left. Matt, at the very end of the video, as my battery is getting ready to die, what happened was, as you're watching it, you can see Matt going right, holding his hand up, and then he caught the shoulder and part of the head as one was peeking around a tree at him, and we went back again to that area, and we found more trees just broke in half, piled up, and just like you see other structures on top of what was already broke, and then more trees jammed in the ground.
Yeah.
So they're telling us, and that may be from the message that you got, to stay out of this area because it may be a bedding area. We don't know, but we had left some gifts and stuff and some various things, and so right now I think we're gonna kind of stay out of that area until.
Yeah, it's weird. You were talking about like how you recently how you go out, like you see things and kind of sense them. And you can kind of feel like the presence of when they're out there, they're out there. So, and then this message you've got, like this recent message you've got, like you go in this area several times and you've noticed like you can't make up these trees that are upside down. The roots are up in the air and the top part is down on the ground. And it's like, you can't get 10 guys to drive these things down to the ground the way you see them. It takes like one of those docking pile drivers that they do out in the ocean, where they drive these dock piles down, It takes a machine like that to do that into the ground, and the ground is very hard. and just the impact force is immense to do this, and people can't do it. No one realizes that, but when you see something like that, it's amazing. You know,
and it drives you kind of in a different way, because number one, like with Indiana, a lot of people don't know Indiana's topography. I had a lady friend. I'd contacted her because of some of the stuff that I have seen, and just she worked for the I forget what the term is, but she deals with rocks and just the topography of Indiana, and from the Ice Age and everything. Indiana has a very high limestone deposit, and some of our state forests and state parks, and some of like Hoosier National Forest goes from Bloomington, Indiana, all the way down to the Ohio, probably all the way into Kentucky. We have a very large limestone deposit, and a lot of our state forests and our lakes and stuff were actually back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s were gravel pits. I actually had an uncle who was in the three C's back in the 40s, and he learned land management and forestry because of what they did. He actually helped build three parks, uh, but we, we're known for our limestone. So my point is like some of the state forests, some of the places I go camping, you've got to get those nail stakes, because if you use just regular tent stakes, you'll bend them because there's a lot of limestone in there. So, um, but so to drive those trees into the ground like that, it takes a lot of force, like you said. So, um, but I want to tell you about the other incident with Greg, if that's okay with you. This is the one that really everybody, I tell this to people and they like, yeah, okay, whatever. So we're with Greg.
I got a quick question for you before
Sure.
you start. This is from Al Santariga. He says,
Okay.
have you ever came across a war zone where the woods have been destroyed?" And you sent me pictures of that the grave site. So the answer is yes, and we're going to get into that, Al. But let's finish this story about Greg real quick because
Okay.
this is awesome.
Yeah. So we're at Greg's camp out. And if anybody knows Greg and you have an opportunity and you get invited to go to one of his uh, outings or whatever, camp outs or whatever, please go, because if Greg's there, something's going to happen and you'll miss out. You just want to stay just glued, just stay within arm's reach of Greg, and it's really, really cool. Some of the things that happen. So, so I was there 2 nights, and a lot of things happened that I wasn't able to stay as far as in a tent and camp out, which I regret. I stayed in a hotel down the road. Excuse me. And I but I went down there and had a great time, and we found tracks. We found some just hellacious structures down there. We went up to UFO Mountain. I found a track which I thought was a dog man, which really just scares the bejeebies out of me. I actually shared it. I think I shared it with you, and I shared it with Al. But the first night we went out and we had set up, had a gifting tray of donuts and Twinkies and just everything, and put out on this stump. And near it's the same. It's the campsite that Greg, when he first saw his two squatches, that came to him, and when it first, the had his first encounter with them. So we're at that campsite uh, there in outside of it's in Clark State Forest, and that place is highly paranormal. And we Greg's like, hey, he's like, hey, man, hey, dude, why don't you play some of that flute? And he goes, ha, 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 I'm gonna call you flute, dude. He calls me dude, and then he says, play some flute, and that's how I got the name Flute Dude. So I start playing this thing, and it's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. We're all around the campfire and everything after going out with Greg and him showing us all the cool stuff. And really some interesting things out there. As Greg, the general, uh, um, we had Matt was there, uh, just a whole host of people with us. And so later that night, we're sitting around the campfire, and I've got Bob. Bob is Bob Farrell's over here. His daughter and son-in-law. You got Leroy Nels. You got Matt McGuire. Greg's right here. Bob Watson's on his side. He's talking, and so I'm sitting there playing a little bit, and we're kind of high up, as topography is, and so I'm just kind of looking around, as I'm playing, and I stop and I where how the topography is, it opens up right in that direction. Now,
Mhm.
as well as I do when sometimes when policemen they'll have a car come in and pull like that, and another one will come like that and face opposite direction, which I thought was odd because usually the tail lights will be on the right side and the headlights will be on the left side so they can talk. Both drivers can talk to each other, but that's not how it was. It was tail lights, headlights, and I thought, wow, that's kind of weird. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good. I can see them that close, that far away, because it's a good couple hundred, 300-400 yards away from where we're supposed to be at least, so if that close. So anyway, um, and I'm looking and I keep seeing the white lights move, and I'm like, that's weird. So I start looking up and I'm trying to get because the fire. So I start putting my hands up, trying to shield the fire, and I'm looking up and looking up at the night sky, trying to get my eyes to focus, get my night vision back. And then, so as I do that, I see lime green, and I'm like that, and I'm trying not to like overreact, and I'm trying to get my focus back in again, looking up, and then I look back down. So I've got red, white, lime green, and brown. I'm like, brown. That's weird. So I reach over and I'm trying to tap Greg, on the shoulder. He's just barely out of my fingertip.
Right.
And I look at Matt, and Matt looks at me like, what's going on? And I look at him, I go, there are 4 squatches behind you. And he's like, what? Looks at me and goes, what? And I go, like that. He looks over and goes, Greg. And Greg goes, what? And he goes, Mark. And he turns at me and goes, what's going on, Flip, dude? And I go, there are there are 4 squatches about 40 yards that way. And Leroy starts to get up, and Matt grabs and goes, hold on, let Greg take. And Greg's like getting his glasses, puts his glasses on, and turns to me. He goes, and you said they didn't like you. Because I had made mention that. I'm like, man, I don't think they like me very much. I've been out in these woods for, you know, last 30, 40 years, just by myself. And, so he goes, I think they like your flute playing, dude. He goes, your name is now Flute, dude, from here on out. So he gets up and he talks to him, and and that's where I learned to just be, just say, hey guys, it's your friend Mark, I'm here, I hope it's okay, blah blah blah. And but yeah, they were sitting there, and when he started talking to him, the one that had the red eyes. Now, folks, for those of you who are watching, the one that had the red eyes was the tallest, and then the one next to it had white eyes was shorter, and it kept looking up at it. And that's when I noticed, like, holy smokes, there's some squatches out there. And it kept looking up at the one with the red eyes, like saying, like, hey, are they okay? Is that our friend Greg? And whatever they're thinking, And I just got this general sense of, like, just like, and not because I'm seeing what I'm seeing, but just because they're present. And then the one with the green eyes, it stayed there, the lime green. The brown one kept fading off and on. I think it was kind of standing back a little bit. But when Greg stood up and started talking, the one with the red eyes, its eyes turned to amber.
Wow.
It just changed. And and then they slowly faded off and everything. Now, the next night, we all congregated back and everything after going a couple other places and everything. And Greg had told him that, hey, we left you, my friends, we left you some a gift back there. And the next thing you know, I remember hearing one vocalize Greg's name, which I'll never forget what that sounds like. That made my blood turn cold, because it was like a growl. It's like something you hear in the movies, and it's just like, and I'm going to do a really poor interpretation of what I heard. And I heard something that sounded like it went like that. And Bob, and again, Bob Farrell is sitting here next to me. Bob's an older gentleman who's retired. And I went, Bob, did you hear that? He just kind of sat there, looked in the fire. He goes, I was kind of hoping that I didn't. And I'm like,
that's very resemblance to, like, the Sierra. Have you heard the Sierra sounds?
No,
that sounded a lot like the Sierra sounds. What you just the noise you made, it was like almost identical to the beginning rumble. It's almost like a samurai chatter, but it has like a growl to it, like a very low, deep guttural growl, and then it kind of turns into like a chatter, and it almost sounds like Tibetan monks, like you see an old Asian karate movie going back and forth, like, that's what you heard,
Yeah. Well, and Matt's sitting across the fire, and he's like, he's big dinner plates, and I'm just sitting there like, and Tony Maples. Now there's like 11 or 12 of us, maybe somewhere around that, maybe 8. I don't remember the number, but I'm more focused on what's going on, or instead of the people. And I think Al Pemberton was there, and he was asleep. He totally missed it, and because he just had to go to bed early for whatever. He had a headache, and but Tony, his wife was with, and Tony started was cooking up hamburgers, that late, and I remember his wife going, honey, I'm scared. And he had a hamburger on a spatula, and he had dropped it. He goes, you're scared, like that. Like that. He had dropped the hamburger, and I go, that was for the Squatches.
Yeah, that's not going to be eaten by the people. That's going to be left for the Squatches to eat.
And but I remember Greg being in his tent, and he goes, in the tent, he goes, stuck his head. He goes, did you guys hear that? I go, I think they want you. So you might want to come out here and talk to him a little bit. But he goes, I've never heard him voice like that before. What? And I go, I bet they're mad because his son, he put some baby powder around the gifting stump, and not to put Eugene on the spot, but he goes, he did what? Like that. I go, yeah. I said, I think they're mad about the baby powder around the stump. He goes, boy, like that. And so, but we heard chatter down in the valley, and it was just, man, we just all sat and listened, like what the heck is that? I mean, it was like, you know how you get near, and I hate to say it this way, but you get like near the orangutan cage or something like
Yeah.
that at the zoo. I mean, it was like being near that. Here in Indiana, I've never heard anything like that. I mean, I've heard, coyotes. I grew up on a farm. I know what coyotes sound like, and when they've got a kill or something, it didn't sound anything like that. It was the weirdest thing. And we were all like looking around at each other like, what the hell? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, just hanging out with Greg again. If anybody has a chance to hang out with him, just tell him that Flute dude sent you. So,
Yeah, well, I keep getting all these open invites since the last couple of years since I've known Greg for like 4 plus 5 years almost. He always says I got an open invitation to come out to Indiana and do some squatching with him at his sacred site. But problem is me getting to Indiana. That's the problem.
I understand. But yeah, any chance you got to go and hang out with Greg, just for take some time off and get the okay from the missus, definitely take him up on it. This area is highly. His son told me about a story about when him and his now wife, when they were going up this fire tower. If you don't mind me talking about that. They were up in the fire tower real late at night and checking out the night sky and everything, and because it's real high up, and it's just amazing how the topography as you go south in Indiana, how much clearer it gets. But he was talking about how they heard something coming up, like somebody was coming up the stairs, and I was like, really? And he's like, so this guy comes up there and he's like, hey, what you kids doing up there? He talked, his verbiage was different, was more distinct, how he sounded. And he's like, oh, we're sorry. We'll leave. He goes, well, you kids, just be careful because there's unsavory characters out here and so on. And he said he looked really kind of odd. He said, but the way he was dressed was kind of old timey. He had a uniform on, and he says, "Well, we'll go ahead and go. We're sorry, sir." And this is up in the fire tower. We have some fire tower. People
Right.
usually don't really. We have one that people still climb in Brown, which is the most used state park of Indiana, which is called Brownstone, Brown County State Park. And they took and got themselves together and everything, and started going down. And all of a sudden, Eugene goes, "Oh crap! I left my phone up there." So he goes back and to get his phone. He goes, "Sir, I left my phone up there. I'm coming back out. I don't want to startle you." And he goes, "Sir," and he goes back up and to get his phone. Guy's gone.
Oh wow.
Not there. And they come to find out that before this become a park, that there used to be a prison there. And so he kind of, after he did his research, two and two together, this guy was probably an old guard at the prison. It was a ghost.
Yeah, a spirit of prison guard, from many years ago, like a residual haunting energy.
And he goes, I'm telling you what. So, but Greg, you go out with Greg, things do happen. So,
yeah, I love the story about Greg when he went out at night and he saw these like orbs crossing the road, and then he came back and there was a bunch of logs obstructing like the whole road where he had to drive his Jeep over, and he had to like make like a different route to get around those big ass logs at night. It was him and his son and some other people.
Yeah, did he tell you about the one where they call it UFO Mountain, and where this light came through? I mean,
I think that's the light. It was a big light that came through the woods, and then he saw like squatches after that or before.
Yeah, there's like 18. There's like 18 squatches, and they had actually touched his, because he had a picture of where they had touched.
Yeah, he's got handprints on his windows.
Yeah, huge handprints, like bigger than my hand. And I was like, Oh, I definitely got to go down there because
Yeah,
if it's weird or if it or people say don't go down there, I've got to go.
you got to go. Yeah.
I've got to go. I've got to go check it out because my dad used to tell me some strange stories about some of the stuff, some of the weird stuff here in Indiana. He was very superstitious, but yeah, uh, uh, the pic. Do you have that picture of?
Um, I have the picture of the thing in a tree, but it will not. It says file is like it will not activate the file on my computer for some reason. It says like
Okay.
files not eligible. It's not active. It won't show it on because I have like a Chromebook, and I guess
Okay.
I probably need like a MacBook or something better than a Chromebook. So it will not load this. It'll say invalid file when I try to load those pictures you
I
sent me.
wish I wish I knew how to bring the picture up and put
Yeah.
it up there for folks to see, but
You can put it. You might be able to put it like to your camera on your computer screen if you pull it up on your phone because that's a really awesome gnarly picture of something up in a tree. I mean, I don't know if it's a dog man, a Bigfoot, a UFO, but it's gnarly as crap. You
are you talking
know?
about the one about that thing up in the tree that I
Yeah,
sent
yeah,
to Les Stroud? Let me see if I
yes.
can. Let me hear. Let me see if I can bring it up on. Bring it up. I'll look for it here on my phone. Let me look on Instagram here. I might be able to get a better picture.
Yeah, it's a very gnarly picture. I mean, it almost looks like, kind of looks like Anubis up in a tree, but it's just more gnarly. The whole body
I
structure and
I
everything. It's crazy looking.
I
Thank you,
showed
Big.
that to Greg, and he, of course, Greg's been on the pursuit of the
Goat
Goat
Man.
Man. Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of the stuff that's been going on with that down in Jeff and there in New Albany. Now, I don't know if folks can see this or not. I'm going to try to. I don't. Um, Matt, stop sending me pictures. um,
That's all right.
so I'm trying to get it. So this
Hold on,
gravesite right.
hold on 1 second. I'm gonna enlarge your picture real quick. I'm gonna make it so it's bigger on the
Matt.
on the computer screen. Just turn your alerts off, and I'm gonna make your thing bigger right now. Okay, there we go. Hold it to the center. There you go. Now, if you look, there's a red circle right there. Where the red circle is, there's something standing. It's not as clear as it can be, but man, that picture. You need to share it to my group, the North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project, and I will submit it ASAP because that picture is gnarly. I mean, it's something there. You can definitely tell there's something there. It's not a person. It's something cryptid. Can't tell what it is, but it's something. Yeah.
Yeah. Now this area. I'm going to hold it up again. Now, folks, this area right here. I sent that to Les Stroud of Survivor Man. And when I did that, when I had better contact, of course now he's busy again doing his show. Um, he told me to go back. Now I was trying to show this to a friend of mine about the X right here, and I was showing him that, and he sent it back to me saying that I was trying to explain about the X that was not the same species of trees in that grove, that the trees come from somewhere else. And so he sent the picture back saying, yeah, that's cool, but what is that up in the tree watching you? So I was like, what are you talking about? And when he, and I'm trying to look up, I'll send you this picture here. He asked me, he's like, I was like, what is that? So I sent it to Les Stroud, and I contacted him through his folks and everything. And I said, Mr. Stroud, I have a question for you. You've been, I need to show you this picture. And I showed him a couple of pictures that I have. And he's like, oh, you got squatches in Indiana, Mr. Holt. He goes, there's no doubt in that. And I said, well, what do you make of this? And he sent back, he goes, what the heck is that? And I said, well, sir, you've been everywhere. I'm asking you, what is that? I mean, I've shot for medium format photography. Did I line something up? He goes, you need to go back and take a picture of that area. And
Yeah, do a recap picture.
do a recap and send that to me, and then of that area. Okay, I just sent it to you to your North Carolina to your the
You're
project.
send it to the North Carolina group. I'm going to approve it
Yes,
right now. There's a pending post. I'm getting ready to send it through. Well, I don't even see it. That's not even it. So
I mean I
let's
just sent it
see.
to you.
Real quick, just want to keep Josh Turner in prayers. His wife just said he was rushed to the hospital today with heart trouble. Keep him in prayers. So prayers for Josh Turner, the Paranormal Roundtable. So real quick, prayers up for you, Josh.
Yeah,
He was in
Josh.
supportive. He was a lot supportive of me when my mom's death, passing, and funeral. So I return the favor, send prayers to him, and ask everybody, send prayers for Josh Turner. All right.
Definitely, I got that wrote down. Um, but so this picture, I went back and I tried to take a picture. Well, this of the area, and it had been hit by uh, unclaimed high winds, uh, uh, straight winds and everything. And I had called one of the nearby news stations, and I said, "Hey, I wanted to talk to a meteorologist," and they were like, "You're speaking to," and I asked them, I said, "Well, what's going on with the high winds over here? I thought we were only supposed to have gusts," and they were like, "Yeah, we only had like 3-4 mile an hour gusts." Well, and I said, "Well, you need to come over here to the cemetery and look, because there is high devastation and just things just torn to bits, trees falling, stuff just ripped up. The one tree like monument that had dates back to the 1800s. It's still down. It's actually still down on the ground to
Oh
this
wow.
day. But the big X is gone. I've tried to take pictures. I've actually went back a couple of times, and I guess it's just part of my DNA, because I have like most of us do. I have some Indian ancestry in my bloodline. Um, my great grandfather was a runaway from the Trail of Tears, but I can see things, and I saw something walked, and it had a long stride to it, because I was like, wow, I can't even walk that. So there was like a footprint, and a footprint, and you could see that it walked on the outer edge of that particular
Yeah.
graveyard, and went into the woods, and then I lost it because of all the hickory leaves and everything everywhere. So, but whatever that was up in the tree, I didn't even notice. I was just taking pictures. Matter of
That's
fact,
usually the best way to get pictures when you're not paying attention. You just take random shots and you get the best shots, I've noticed. It's
and
crazy.
that's the best time to go squatching too. Just don't pay
Yeah.
attention, and just kind of be mindful, but don't be like, oh, I want to see a Sasquatch. I want, because that you'll never see one, unless they're really, you know, want to scare the bejeebies out of you.
Yeah,
But what's
exactly.
funny about that picture is I took a couple of shots like that, and then I went down the trail, and that's when I saw my first. See if I can bring this up real quick. The my first. Here's my first. See if I can. See, people can. I don't know if they can see that or not. Um,
Looks like a
that's my
print.
first. Yeah, that's my first print that I've ever photographed.
If you wanna send that to the group too as well, that you're more than welcome. I think I got you on pre-approved posts, so you can post whatever. Doesn't have to get approved by any moderators. And if anybody's interested, the first picture with the tree, the thing of the tree with the outline of the circle, it's in the group right now. If anybody wants to check it in the North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal group
This
on
is the
Facebook.
picture. This is the picture, and I know it's kind of hard to make out on here. That I thought was a dog man. That's up there near UFO Mountain, and just because of the pad.
Yeah.
Hey, Al, and I've talked to Al. Me and Al had some good conversations here recently. But here's the picture. Let me see if I can find. I want to find a picture that my my girlfriend and I were out, and that my foot next to it. It should be next in the Squatch and stuff. Yeah, here it is. We were out for a drive, and I was trying to explain to her what it is that when we look at something, this is what we look for, and I'm hoping this will come up because I'm showing her this tree how it snapped over at like 7.5 feet up, and there's nothing around it whatsoever. There's not been a
Yeah.
storm. It's like, why is it snapped over? That's we untie the puzzle and put everything together and look at everything and try to debunk. Could a human being done that? Could could that been done mechanically? I know they have out in the Forestry Service, they have certain machines that can grab it. It can grab a tree and then a saw come and saw it off and stuff like that. But no, this is 7.5 feet up on a ridge top of the road, and it's snapped over. And she goes, "Well, that's neat, but what about this footprint?" And I was like, "What footprint?" and
Dang.
I mean, my heel's about even with the heel.
Yeah. It's all
And
right.
and then let's see if I can. And then you can right up here, you see the toes.
Man.
I mean, I wear a 12.4E. And so I'm saying that was probably like maybe an adolescent,
Right.
walking across the road.
Matt's asking if you have a picture of the two rock structures in the creek.
Uh,
Thank you,
oh,
Al. Thanks,
oh,
Goomba.
yeah. Let me find it. That's when we were out squatching in the rain and I got sick because I didn't put my hood up. I was so enthralled about being out in the woods, I didn't care. Um, yeah, there's a couple of cairns out in the middle of the creek. And while I'm looking for that, I got to tell people this. Uh, here's here's the footprint that we found while out there. I
Is
don't
that
even
is
know.
that does that look like I can't tell if it's casted or not. Does that have casting
No,
material or it's got a
yeah,
light?
it's
So were your experiences with the Sasquatch positive? B Moss is asking.
yes. Matt, no, I can't find that picture. I must have discarded it or something. Because I'm kind of curious because it was in the. I'll talk about that. In
Five or
Beamos
six toes. 5 or 6 toes.
um on the hold on, let me pull it back up. Um, where is it? Okay. So let's see. One, two, three, four, five. It's five toe.
Wow. Okay. So you were going to answer B's question now.
Um, most of in the last 30 to 35 years of being out in the woods by myself and doing different things, I've had an acorn thrown at me, not like, but that's like tossed at me, been hitting the net while I was relieving myself out in the woods. Like, really? I've had my tent shaken. I've heard footsteps. One ran by my tent while I was out backpacking years ago and shake my tent. I thought it was my buddy, and so I feel like they've watched after me and protected me. And I've had one where I was out hiking this one loop of the northern terminus of this one trail. It's supposed to be one of Indiana's most rugged trails. They say if you're going to hike the Appalachian Trail, you hike this trail first, and if you can do it and stand the ruggedness of it, you can go hike the Appalachian Trail. It's called the Knobstone Trail. So I was on the northern terminus of this trail doing this loop, and it was wintertime, and it was and I've heard all kinds, and I've learned a lot since I've been hanging out with Matt and
Right.
Greg and stuff, and just about things that I've heard that you're not supposed to go out in the wintertime but I do anyway. And but it was such a really bad snowstorm. I was coming back. I was coming off this ridge around this loop to an intersection, and I just had this sense of urgency, like, man, I need to go. Well, I just kept having this feeling like something's following me, and I kept turning around. It was this eerie feeling, and I looked back one more time, and it's snowing pretty hard, and my footsteps are disappearing. And I'm like, well, I probably should get back to my vehicle,
Yeah.
because you can see where the trail is. So I go back, and it was like I was herded, like, come on, let's go. You need to get home. Don't be out here. And which was really cool. And but I've felt like they've really watched after me and taken care of me. And so now when I go out, I pick up trash, and when I find it, and I carry like a little bag, and I have, even in my vehicle, sometimes I just go out and do that. And if I'm in an area that I'm researching, I have it with me. And if I see trash, I'll spend most of my time just picking up trash, and trying to take care of their home for them too. As human beings, we for some weird reason, we never got the message yet. We still trash
Yeah.
our areas up. And so I just feel like they've been taking care of me. So I want to return the favor, and hopefully they'll appreciate it. And maybe let me come in closer. Like Greg told me one time, each time, um, each episode is, sometimes it's you get close, sometimes you're kept at a distance, and that's okay. I'll take whatever they're willing to give
Right.
me. And it's just like when I go camping, I try to pick up what throws trash away. It's just something I learned in scouting and stuff, and it's just taking care of our planet and everything. So, but most of my encounters have been really good. Now, if you want to talk about that recent message, Tom.
Yeah, if you want to go into that recent message with the area you've been going into recently. So somebody that I'm friends with in my group, I guess maybe you posted pictures or something in my group recently, or whatever. The fact is, somebody said that they're a remote viewer, and the Sasquatch told them to tell you that don't go into the area because there's something bad could happen, this and that. And they kind of described, the area perfect to the T of
Yeah.
how the area is. I mean, and kind of like you said, anybody can kind of do like a topography research check on Google Earth and check like Indiana and see how it is. But it kind of did your area to the T and described things that you can't see on Google Maps, certain things. So it kind of had your interest from the get go, you know?
Yeah. Matt, I had shared that message with Matt, and Matt said that he did a Google search of that area, and it came up kind of weird. Um, and But we had been going in and out of this area, but this doing some gifting and stuff, and I'll go down there, and I'll just like open the back. I've got an older Rab, and I'll sit back here, and I'll just play my flute. And like early when I right before I got to tell this story too. Before I did my first video, uh, I was out there by myself, and Matt's the one that told me about the big. There's two X's over near there, a really huge one about like 30, 40 feet, and then there's a smaller one. Well, I went to the smaller one, and which is really cool. I think I shared those pictures with you and told you, what was going on with that. But I was playing my flute, and I said, hey, guys, I just want to let you know I'm going back into this area, because I kind of looked at the area first before I shot, and pinged it on my handheld GPS so I could remember where it was at. And so I just said, hey, if it's okay, guys, I'm going to go and shoot a video so folks can learn about you and what are the things that you do. And, I want to make sure that you're okay with this, because I don't want to trespass, or that I'm uh, endangering you or your loved ones, your family, or the little ones. I'm just doing this as Oganali, which is Cherokee for friend, and just letting people know that all the cool stuff that you do, And so I said, if it's okay, may I have a woo or a whistle or a whoop or even a tree knock? And so I sat there for a minute and I didn't hear anything. And you have like, ambient sound, it's the forest, it's late October. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to play my flute again and I'm going to go ahead and make the video if that's okay. So I began to play my flute and I stopped, after I was done playing, and I'm on the forest road, and I'm getting ready to walk into where I'm going to go to, where this X is, where this, So I turned around, I put my flute back in my vehicle, and all I did was turn around and take one step, and I heard a crack, just like a wood knock, and I froze, and the only thing I could hear was there was no ambient sound, just the rustling of the leaves in a high altitude aircraft. There was no birds, no squirrels chirping or wrestling around, but I heard uh, something crunch over to my far left, and I turned in mid stride, and I'm in the middle of the forest road, and I saw something kind of. It may have been a gray squirrel, I don't know, but I saw something, and I just sat there for the longest time trying to like, holy crap. And I had heard that wood knock, that tree knock at least 3 times before in my life. And I was like, it's very distinctive. And so they answered me. They're like, go ahead. I was very, very, uh, gracious and protective of their area, and I didn't want to. I wanted to be respectful before I went in. I asked, and obviously they liked my flute playing, and so they allowed me to do that. So, but this is the same area that we were warned about, and because there's been new activity of the actual tree snap breakage, like not just a tree snap, but trees broke and shoved into the ground. And so Matt thinks that we're getting close to a bedding area. And I went back here uh, last Saturday, and that's when you got that message. I was going down through the road real slow and just looking at stuff, and I hadn't seen any movement or anything. But I went back to see if some of the gifts were still there, which they were. I put out some tennis balls uh, and some Hot Wheels. I figured I was going to try bells and maybe some marbles, but the tennis balls were still there. And then you got that message, and you PM me that message, and I was like, "Oh wow, that's kind of crazy that I just went out there, and now they're saying, hey, bud, we appreciate you, but back off." So obviously the breakage and everything, and Matt's I talked to him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, we probably ought to back off that area a little bit and give them some time because that may be a bedding area or whatever, and we need to kind of let them have their privacy and
Well,
just
yeah,
be
it's either
respectful."
it's either a bedding area or it's maybe like something where, like you said, maybe the DNR's going there and tearing shit up and they're getting mad at people in general, and just because all people look alike, so you're a person, you're human, and
Yeah,
there's humans going there tearing up their land with their machines at the DNR. What they do is they cut out the wood line and they skin it down, so they take the wood line back, so it takes the wood edge out more, so it adds like 10 more feet of flat land, and it's taking woods from them, so they probably get pissed about that. And if all else fails, there could be some other cryptid out there. Maybe a dogman's in the area, and the Bigfoot are protecting you from the evil dogman if they're getting that if they're God forbid, killing humans out there. Who knows? I mean, they
I
don't
mean,
want to
that may
see
be
they don't
true.
want to see you get hurt. That's the only way I could
And
see it.
yeah, and again, they're watching out for me like they have in the past, and I
Mm.
appreciate it. And
Yeah, because you show them respect. You go there, you clean the area up, you clean up the woods, you play the flute, you leave a gift here and there. I mean, you're showing respect. You're offering gifts. You're being, kind and humble to them. They see that you have a good heart. I don't think they want to hurt you. I think they're protecting you from something else.
and something that Jessica, Oracle of the South, she
Yeah,
mentioned one time before on her show. I don't know if it was with Al or who it was, but something that they can actually see your aura. And there's a lot of things I believe and don't believe in that I haven't experienced, but who knows what's out there and what they can actually see. And it's been proven by I think it was by a Japanese scientist that we actually emit an aura, and that may be our, if you will, life force that is God
yeah,
breathed into us. That they might see that, and but some may be good, some may be bad. Obviously, but like you had mentioned, when I had seen this, and that Matt and I were going down there one day that he was in his vehicle and I was in mine, and we had seen. I was like, "Dude, you got to come down here." And he says, "Actually, I'm on my way." So we drove down the Forestry Road, and you can see tree breakage off the road, and just not just snaps, but I mean, like
yeah.
something
I
took a
saw it.
tree
Yeah,
and just,
they're
yeah,
they're like broken, fresh snaps, like breaks, like something just grinded it and snapped it
yeah,
apart. I mean, it's crazy. It's something you see like the Hulk
and
do in the
it's
woods.
yeah, exactly. Like that one tree that had a sign on there. It said "No trespassing," and I have it on my Instagram, Squatch'n Indiana. That
Yeah,
the whole, it's like something just grabbed it and just ripped it right off. I'm like,
yeah,
that wasn't there, because I went down the next day and I was like, that wasn't like that yesterday. And I think that it's either locals
hmm
or that don't like them, or it's the DNR, because I know they got like these uh, bush hogs that flip up on the sides, or that one machine with the grader, and they're going out there and they're just, like you said, clearing off the sides, and it's totally destroying. Somebody went with a chainsaw, and there
yeah.
was a TP structure, a really cool TP structure. This breaks my heart, because I really love what the Squatches do. I mean, it's just like
Yeah,
art to me. But
it
this
is. It
TP
is.
structure, I mean, it has a significance to them, but I just
Mm.
love seeing what they do. And somebody took a chainsaw to it and cut it down. It
Oh
just
man,
breaks my heart, man.
that's
It just
sad.
was beautiful. But hopefully, right now, it's when it gets a little bit warmer and stuff, I'm going to have a spring squatch out,
Nice,
and
nice.
so near a area in a different region that I
Mm.
found some breaks and stuff, and I'm going to put it out there. Anybody, it's just kind of like a bonfire, if you will, and have Matt come in and speak, and uh, we'll do like a midnight walk, a late night walk or
Yeah,
whatever. And but
gotta have the
just
Squatch man. Gotta have the Squatch man
oh
out there
yeah,
too. You gotta have Greg.
if Greg, if Greg,
You
I'm
need
definitely
Greg.
going to invite Greg, because if something happens, if Greg's there, something will happen. But
Yeah.
it's just for folks who anybody wants to know about squatching or anything like that. But um, I
Wow.
kind of want to get away from that area. It's not that I don't want to keep my presence known. I think they know me. I had talked to Greg one time about this, and because of something that had happened, with my original one back in '96, and uh, I have to share this story too. This happened in 2014.
Before you start, real quick, I just got one quick question. Have you ever stumbled upon a nursery area?
A nursery area? No.
No.
The only thing I've come upon is I saw a tree that was woven. I was like, whoa, what the heck caused that? And I'd taken a picture of it, and I thought nobody's going to believe me. And I went to go around it to get a side shot of it, with my Nikon. And I had the most god awfulest, nasty smell I'd ever. I grew up on a horse farm. My dad raised Belgian horses, draft horses, like like Clydesdales, but they're Belgians. Um, and down the street was a cow farm, a Holstein farm, and then in another region was a chicken farm, and so we get all these smells, and you're like, like so. And growing up with horses, you always had to go out there and clean the pens and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And we had coon dogs too, hunting dogs. And but whatever this was, smelled far time worse.
Oh yeah, that's a nasty smell. I've heard. I've heard it. And do you
It
think
just,
these
it,
are flesh and blood, or what, or
I,
just
well, I'll get into that here in a second. So,
Okay,
but
yeah.
I just got through listening to. I like how I really started getting involved and just kind of getting my senses wet, if you will. I stumbled upon this guy on YouTube. His name's Matt Squatch out in California, and I've contacted, kind of conversed with Matt back and forth through email. But he was talking about the smell, and so when I was taking this picture, I came on that smell, and I kid you not, I think one was cloaked nearby me, and I stopped, and I just started walking backwards, and got in my V. I was like, nope, sorry, my bad. I'm not here to, you know, get myself involved. Anything you guys are doing, I apologize. I am leaving. I just walked backwards, got in my car, and left because I felt there was one nearby me and probably cloaked. And it was, yeah, I could feel the hair on the back of my neck standing up like, oh, wow, there's something real close by me. And just that smell is like putrid smell. It's like, golly, what was that? And, but anyway, to answer your question, Tom, is I did a lot of my own personal research. I did some timelines like of the reading back in the Bible with the creation of man and the flood with Noah and everything, and then on into King David and everything, and with the Anakims and the David and Goliath and how big Goliath was and everything. I don't really know. I part of me wants to really believe that they may be from a different realm, if you will, that they can go interdimensional. Because some of the stuff I've seen, I'm like, what the heck did I just see? And or hear, it's like that's not possible. And like that creature, whatever that thing was up in the tree, yeah, I'm like, nah. But there's a lot of strange things that
there's a lot of interdimensional things, and like you said, the government makes things.
Oh,
They
yeah.
know about things, like they have all this,
A
chimera is something that spliced genes of different kind of creatures or animals or whatever with human mixed in it, and they're called chimeras. So.
I had an original YouTube channel called The Video Stump, and I had interviewed 3 people hiking the American Discovery Trail, and one of the last people I talked to is a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Schultz, and he was a professional drummer, and we had talked about where he was from near Redding, California, and everything, and how near the Shasta Mountain Range. And he was telling me, and I was at the time I was watching stuff about Phil Schneider.
Right.
I had read some stuff about Phil back in the 90s and stuff. I'm like, wow, this guy's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I mean, in a good way. Like,
in a good way. Yeah, he's a good whistleblower, and
yeah, he is. Unfortunately, they
took him out.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah, I did a whole podcast with the Three Beards podcast, and I think
I saw that. That was
Brian,
really cool.
Brian and Craig. So yeah, it was awesome with
and
Phil Schneider's life. It's just crazy how everything intertwines. Like his dad was part of the Nazis, and Project Paperclip, and then he was like a submarine. He was a metallurgist, and then Phil was like a gemologist, a seismologist, did all these underground contracts as black operations for the government and so on. It's just crazy how everything kind of unfolds, and you got to believe his story. You got to believe his story because he knows so much about the government and how they do their works, and
he's either a really good liar.
Yes,
he's either a really good liar or he's telling the truth. And it has a picture of him next to that prototype by Skunkworks of that boring machine that helped make that
do the tunnels,
the tunnel with that rail train that goes from
the underground dumps.
Yep.
Yeah, the maglev trains that he talks about, and I think Bob Lazar talks about the maglev trains too, and he was cast out as well.
Now, what's funny is he talks about back in the 90s how we already had
technology
zero engineered aircraft, and that we were already training Rangers to go and fight in space. Now,
that's what the whole 20 and back program. That's what that was about. That was they were kind of taking people, making them space rangers and to do intergalactic missions. And they were taking them and then, transporting them 20 years ago in time so they wouldn't even remember nothing. So they did all this activity for 20 years, and then they got brought back 20 years. So they don't remember a thing. And how are you supposed to remember if you get brought back 20 years from doing something you did?
Well, and what's funny is then they roll out at the tail end of the Trump administration, we get
Space Force.
Wait a minute.
Disclosure. Yeah, that's all it is.
Phil talked about that back in the 90s.
94,
and then all of a sudden, here we are in 2020, and you're talking about this stuff. Yeah, and I think you and I talked about how in movies, they will soften us up to the idea, roll it out there. So it's like, that's okay. That's all right.
It's desensitizing the masses to stuff that's going to happen soon. So when it really happens, we're like, whatever. It's a UFO. So what? It's just Bigfoot. It's just a werewolf. It's just Dogman. So what? We've seen them in movies. We know what they are. We're not scared of them now. So that's all that is. It's desensitizing.
I'm 57 years old, and I went from playing with walkie-talkies as a kid. Now we can talk to somebody on the other side of the world.
You've got everything you need right here on this right here. It's all you need. You got a computer, a cassette recorder, a calculator. You got a whole duffel bag full of electronics and a phone.
My Belfang. This is my Belfang ham radio. I mean, how do we go from having big bulky to this,
that's just like the triangulates everyone saw in Arizona. Those were the TR-3Bs that the government makes, but they didn't want to talk about them then. But now they show them. You see all these Google Earth pictures of a TR-3B triangular spacecraft on an aircraft carrier that they try to cover up. But you're seeing a perfectly triangular thing with 3 lights on it, one in each corner. But those were the TR-3Bs that were being seen in Arizona, the Arizona Lights back in '97. And even the governor covered that up. They came out. They had a little alien guy come on stage, and they made a joke about it. Yeah, but people don't really see these things.
they just it's all about just it's called the Kansas City Shuffle. Look at what this hand's doing, but don't pay attention what I'm doing.
The old nutshell trick. The old nutshell trick. Moving the nuts around, but don't worry about the one in the middle.
And they came out and they finally disclosed that. I mean, like Phil said, we've been dealing with this stuff since the 1800s.
Yeah.
And so that, they kind of like, about UFO. Yeah, we know about them. That's real. But anyway, how about, the gas prices are down,
How about problems in Russia? How about trouble in Russia and, all that, Ukraine? Let's talk about that in the New World Order.
and somebody, and then they say, over in Russia and over in that region, like, it's not really that bad. So what's really going on? And I think it's funny because Phil shows those pictures of his dad and the pictures of the big 3 chairs for the 3 grays that come in. And it's like my dad always said, he goes, he says, somebody else is pulling the strings.
Yeah,
He goes,
it's
these
all
guys,
smoke and mirrors, and he even talks about the
yeah.
reptilians that run the world. You know, the aliens that have
Well,
been underground for thousands and thousands of years, and they've infiltrated the governments and they've infiltrated this and that. So he talks about all that in his documentaries, and it's
now
crazy.
on
And we're
my
probably gonna get
video,
shut down for this, but whatever.
yeah, yeah, I'm surprised we're still on right now.
Yeah, I'm
But
surprised we didn't
what's
get zapped
funny
yet.
is when I was interviewing Jeremy Schultz
Hmm.
on Video Stump, he was talking about that. He goes, yeah, his grandfather said, whatever you do, don't go up in the mountains, the Shasta mountain range by yourself. Always go with the large group. And he's like, why? And he's like, well, it's because of the the lizard people that live up there.
Yeah,
And I was like, I said, tell me about that. So,
yeah,
and what's funny is I just got through listening to one of Phil's
yeah.
things on YouTube, and he's like, why do I have a feeling you know about this? I said, just keep telling me more. I want to hear your side of the story. So he tells me, his grandpa just said, just don't go up there because there's reptilian people living up in that mountain range, and people disappeared. And it's like just like the 411 with Pilatus, and just some of the weird stuff that's happened. But Phil talked about that and some of the weird happenings that and Dolosi Navajo Range and all that, and just some of the crazy stuff. And it makes a lot of, to me. I'm sorry, a lot of people go, just whatever. You don't know
Yeah.
anything. I'm open minded. I'm like, for
You
whatever
gotta
reason,
be.
that
You
makes a
gotta
lot of
be in
sense.
this field. You gotta be very open minded because there's so much. There's just so much involved, and it's like you got this, this field, you got that field, you got like the people call it the the woo factor. You got the flesh and
Yeah.
blood. So, what are your thoughts about the DNA results about Sasquatch coming back, part human, part animal, and part unknown? Because I
Uh,
think they're ancient. They're probably the ancient ones that've been here forever, and
I
they
think
have
that
different DNA. They have different DNA because they were created to be different from the beginning.
I think that I don't believe that they're the Nephilim at all. I this is my take on this. I believe because of what it says in the Old Testament and New Testament that the Nephilim are what they are. But um, Goliath was a big guy and part of the ancestral line of the Anakims that are the men of valor, if you will, because he was 3 cubits in a length, and a cubic is well, if I can get my
Well,
is three.
they measured the arc by cubits, so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's 3 feet, so it's from your chest, middle of your chest bone to your fingertip, and that's they didn't have tape measures back then, obviously, so that's a cubic, and the length is linear is 9 inches, so he was 9 feet 9 inches tall, so
Wow.
so he was a really big dude and muscular too because he had that big old sword and
He
carried
had
that
that
shield
big
all
old
around.
sword and that big old. He was, I think, it was a staff too, wasn't it? A staff like
Yeah,
a throw rod staff that he was beating against the shield with. When he was taunting everybody
and
for
the thing of it
bring
is,
me someone to fight.
yeah, you guys are nothing. Um, so there's that history and everything in man's uh, timeline. And that's the only reason I use that.
Mhm.
Um, I believe that they've been around here for a very long time. And I tell people because I get made fun of a lot at work and stuff, and it's all good, because you have non-belief. Oh, I've been out there for hunting for years and I've never seen a Sasquatch. I'm like, yeah, you've got a weapon in your hand. I wouldn't want to be seen by you either. Might shoot me. I had
Right.
people tell me, you need to bag a Squatch. I'm like, no, they don't travel alone. That would be a very bad thing to do. So you start a war or something, or never come back ever again.
Yeah.
Um,
Be on the missing 411 list. So.
oh yeah. So I'd be a Squatch sandwich or something. But God forbid. But I'd probably be all gristle. um, but I think that there's something that we don't understand, and it's going to take a lot of investigating. Um, and we may never understand what they are.
Yeah.
Part of me, part of me wants to believe that one time that night we were Matt and Aaron McAtee, that's Matt's camera guy. We were out. Aaron had already left, and I was in my girlfriend's Suburban, and I had got out. I flashed my lights at Matt, and he stops, and I said, "Hold on, I'll be up here to talk to you in a second." So there was some space between our vehicles by about like 5-6 feet. Excuse me. And so I go up, and it's raining out, and I'm talking to him. He's in his truck, okay. And the next thing I know, pizza's here.
Nice.
The next thing I know is that I'm sitting there talking to Matt, and I thought I'd actually hit Aaron's car, and he's like, "No, he's down the road already. He's a fast guy. He don't wait around for nothing." And so the next thing I know, I'm sitting there going, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I heard something hit the side of the car." I said, "Maybe I ran over a log because it sounded like a thud." And so I'm sitting there talking to him, and the Suburban's back here with the door open. Okay. Now, for all those who are watching, I got to say this: when I go out, I carry certain things with me, a tape measure. I have a headlamp that has red and green on it.
Right.
And all that. And I like the green light because I can see a better definition while I'm out there. And I carry a Moroccan Garbird knife, and I also carry a Glock with me. Not because of the Squatches.
Not because of the Bigfoot, because of other things. You got other predators. You got mountain lion, bear, all that.
We got here in Indiana. There's been bear spotted in southern Indiana. There's been pumas, mountain lions. We got bobcats. There, people out there doing people stuff. You just never know. It's horrible to even think that we need to arm ourselves out in the woods, but. I really wouldn't want to get entangled with a Squatch, or I'd probably feel really bad. I really would. It would probably be disheartening. But, even a dog, man, I don't really understand them. Those things terrify me. I carry a 45 with some Underwood ammo that looks like it's been, put in a press or in a it's nasty looking. But I want to learn about them too, and I think that they're the muscle, and I think they, I don't know. Some people say, "Oh, they're evil." Some, I don't know. It's just the unknown, and maybe they are. I've had some weird, but also I believe we need to protect ourselves too. But I think as far as the Squatches are concerned, I think it would be, if you get a bluff charge, you kind of want to. I think I've heard on one of your episodes, they know what the boomstick is, and I think they respect more of the knife, because that's kind of what the natives had and stuff. Native Americans,
nice bow and arrows and the spears, that's it.
And but you see yourself with a firearm, they're not going to respect you and even stay further away from you, and they're not going to have any type of an experience if you go out there armed to the teeth, But
I know. Trust me, I just picked up a nice AR-12, which is it's a I think it holds 15 rounds. It looks like an AK-47 magazine, but it's a 12 gauge shotgun shells, but it's on an AR-15 rifle platform, so it looks badass, and I'm dying to take it out and try it. But I got slugs that are defense rounds, and they open up to like the size of I would say.
Are those the Italian made ones?
These are the $60 for 5 rounds, and it's like they open up to the size of a soda can when they impact. So they're predators. They're called lights out for a reason. So I'm dying to use shells, but not those shells. I'm dying to use target slugs.
the next show I go to, I'm going to buy a couple of the ones that are the Italian made ones that open up like a bolo, and
yeah,
one's called
like a mushroom.
yeah, there's the one it's called the junkyard, and it's just got all this stuff in it, and I want to take it out back and in the backyard and see what happens.
No, this is for my weapons are for self defense only. I never intend on I never shooting any Bigfoots, Miss Vanessa. So that's not my
yeah,
plan. We take guns in the woods for predatory animals and in defense. I would never never draw anything
yeah.
on a Sasquatch. I respect them and they respect me, and that's how it is. That's all.
Yeah, because
I'm
if
a
you
no
do
kill, no kills.
that, myself and Matt and Greg, obviously Greg Yost, and even Tony Maples, we all talked about that we're a no kill friendly, Bigfoot friendly, and we'd rather defend the Bigfoot than and take part in our
Absolutely,
because we think that they're special.
Same.
Yeah, in the last, like I said, the last 30, 40 years, they've watched after me and, being out there in the woods and everything by myself, hiking for hours and just enjoying the woods. And I just feel like, I've always felt like I was being watched and stuff, and you just go out there with a good heart and a good mind and not out there. And it's funny because at one time I only hiked with I have this like knife that my dad gave me, and my God rest his soul, and it goes with me when I go camping or hiking. It's Japanese steel, and I take it with me just because he gave it to me. But I usually have like a trail snack and a couple of things of water.
Yeah.
And if I know, I check out the weather, and I'll go real early to have the early morning coolness. And I usually don't worry about any of that other stuff. I just am out there to enjoy. And then, of course, I take my phone because I'll take pictures of stuff like, wow, that is so freaking cool. And, yeah, so we, and with that recent message that I got, from your local listener, that I want to again be respectful to their areas, and because now that I'm starting to see more, I'll go back and look into pictures from when I was hiking, and 20, 25 years ago, before I had my knee and back injury, that I see evidence of them, and so yeah, just tree breaks and stuff like that. Like, wow, they were, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Like, wow, now I get it that they were out there. But as far as whether they're flesh or blood, I'm wondering if they can go spiritual too. If they have the ability to, because I believe that while they're here, they can. This is how they are. Tall and fuzzy, and stinky. But if they go
another portal, another dimension,
if they go to another dimension, that we might be able to see them in a different way. Now, what I was getting at about telling you about while Greg and I, or not Greg, but Matt and I were talking outside of his vehicle. Again, our vehicles are 5-6 feet apart. We're standing there by the area where all these tree breaks and stuff are at. Something went between our vehicles. It wasn't a deer. That late at night, it was big, and it blocked out the headlights of the Suburban. And I went like that, and Greg goes, "Man, did you see?" Or I keep saying, Greg's thinking about me right now. Matt, in his rearview mirror, did you see that? I mean, I almost gave myself a whiplash from looking, because it was that big and it blocked out the lights when it went between our vehicles. And I was like, holy smokes.
I believe that.
And I was like, "You got your 45?" He goes, "Why, you scared?" I go, "Hold my hand."
Right.
So, but I was like, "I don't want to go back here by myself." He goes, "I'll go back here." He goes, "Well, Squatch is out. I go, good point. Squatchy's out here. He'll protect me. So we got on our vehicles and we went into another area, and yeah, that was really hair raising, and I think that was the same night we seen that alpha.
Oh,
It was just in a different area, and it's just that area is just highly active, and yeah, it's depending on what that's part of the fun. I tell folks, that give me a hard time about going out and squatching, and they're like, I don't believe in that, and I'm like, you got to go, just go with me. Sometimes it's gold, sometimes it's bust.
It's not even that. Just come out in the woods and cut out the noise of the world and just sit down and let something happen. And that's the best time to observe something. Like you said, the whistle. Yeah, cut out the noise of the world. Put your phone down. Just shut your eyes and meditate for 5 minutes, and I guarantee you're going to feel the presence of something in the woods. It doesn't have to be a squatch; it could be anything, but you're going to feel something. You're going to become one with. You're going to become one with the forest, and you're going to come into it. It's going to impact you. Seriously.
You want me to play a little bit more for those folks?
Yeah, we'll play a little bit more, because then we'll do like another 2 minutes and we'll do a closing out, because we're about an hour and 40 minutes.
All right. So this is just something that I come up with here. Let me make sure it's again. This is a blue bear flute from Tennessee. For the life of me, I can't remember the gentleman's name that makes these, but he does a really good job. They're all handmade. They're all hand burned in. This is in the key of A. So, all right.
Nice.
It's northern red cedar, or excuse me, not northern. I want to buy a northern red cedar, but this is western red cedar. I love it. These are.
I bet the Squatch love it too. When you sing for the Squatch, I bet they love it too. When you're in the woods singing for them,
I listen to a lot of Native American music, and I want to be careful of what I say, because I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's like doing a tree knock. Matt does a really good wild man yell. I can't do it. It's just like, and I'm like, I'm like, if we don't get something back from that, he's actually had a couple responses to it, and Vanessa, that that last note, it's something. I have a little little amplifier that has echo on it, and that last note, it's something that I add. It's just really cool. But to me, it is. Maybe the Squatchers are like, "Whoa, dude, chill out on that." But we like to be careful about whatever it is we're saying to them, because we don't really know. And but I'll go out and I've been relearning Cherokee, OCO, which means hello. I stay Sunalahe is good morning.
Nahalio.
Hello. OCO is hello. And then
OCO, there's different dialects.
Yeah,
I learned Chata from my friend Kat Hansen. She taught me some Chata words, so I use that in the woods, and they work pretty good.
There's Oganali, means it's friend, and but I'm learning. Wadu is thank you, and I try to listen to the pronunciation, because being that I'm from Indiana and I'm half Hoosier, half hillbilly.
You're part pale man, so part pale man, so it's hard.
So yeah, I mean, because my mom had Cherokee blood in her. Looking at me, you can't tell,
Right.
And maybe that may be another reason what they see in me. They see that, yes,
They
yeah,
probably
be
they
my,
probably see your they probably can sense your blood and your frequency from your native heritage.
and they can tell because when I get out there, I try to turn everything off and just really love. I mean, just the bark. I've actually just felt bark and just like patted trees. Like, hey, how you doing, big guy? Just all the stuff that's out there. Like one time, Matt and I were driving down. We were in that area. Somebody had felled a tree, and I think I sent you that picture that they had felled a couple of trees, and I'm like, well, where'd the tree go if they felled it? And then like
Right.
somebody had put sticks and stuff on top of it, like a grave marker. I'm like, now I'm just going to say this way, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but um, the white man will not do that, or a European, or we as human beings would not do that. We'll just take the tree, haul it off, whatever we're going to do with it. And uh, the there was another smaller tree, and maybe a young one had taken and put in a couple of sticks and some leaves on top of it. So I was like, and Matt and I were looking at it, and I had left a couple of McDonald's pies on there,
Yeah.
and obviously those were, whether the squirrels or raccoons or maybe
And
the
that's
squawkers
that
got it.
apple pie is tasty. I don't care who you
Well,
are.
this
You can be 3 days old and those apple pies are
well,
good.
there's a reason why I'm fat. So, but these were the oh, what do you call them? The holiday pies, and like
Okay.
kind of like a pudding inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, there's a reason why I'm fat. So, but no, it's hey, you know what, big guy. I know they like donuts. They like donuts and Nutella
Oh
and
hell yeah.
caramel corn, caramel apples,
Oh, they
and
like peanut butter and green apples. I know that for sure.
dude. And I've taken like peanut butter sandwiches and left out there. I've taken just apples. I found a structure where a tree was ripped out. It was almost like they knew I was coming. Like, I was just trying to put it out there, like, guys, I'm coming
They
to
put
see
out a
you.
tray for you. It's like a tray made of tree trunk, and they like, here, put the food here, dude.
Yeah,
Flip,
yeah,
dude,
right,
give us
yeah, right,
food.
right here, right here, right here. Here
Yeah.
we're setting it up for you, all nice, tablecloth and everything. This load us up. So they ripped this tree out of the ground, and it was the anchor tree, and it was all just wrapped up in there. And I think I had sent that. It was on January 1st of 2021, and I was putting it out there like, hey guys, I'm coming to see you, man. I hope can you leave me something? If not, it's cool. I just really, I'm going to go for a walk, but I really, miss you guys, and I want to come out here and just, if you don't, maybe they don't show themselves for a reason. Maybe I'll be really terrified seeing them, and who knows? I may want to give, like Greg says, I just want to give them a hug. It's like, oh no, dude, I'm not doing the hug. I'm not there with the hug thing yet.
Like Duke says, my friend Duke Sullivan says, don't hug the Wookiee.
Yeah,
It's just, don't hug the Wookiee.
yeah, and that may be true too. So
Yeah,
they may be
no,
like, hey, that's a little much. I'm not a
too
hugger,
much.
but
Daryl doesn't like hugs. He likes beers.
yeah.
Beer with
So
Daryl.
but yeah, hey, so here just recently, um, I had some apples. I had this big container, and I had put some apples in this container. It was like a big pretzel container, huge,
Yeah.
and I put apple brandy in there, and I left. That was the last thing I left them before I got that message from your remote viewer.
Maybe
And
you got him drunk.
I'm like, hey guys, if you're, here, have some of these. Forget
But
about those jackasses that are
I've
putting
heard many
themselves up.
stories of them dipping into moonshine mash. So I can't see why they wouldn't like alcohol. But we're gonna close out in another minute. So
Okay.
you got anything else to say?
Yeah, I just want to tell folks that first of all, thanks for watching and everything. Tom, thank you for letting me be on the show.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But yeah, just go out there and just have a good heart and a good mind. And if you see trash, pick it up. If you really want to befriend some squatches, just have a good attitude. Try not to be too camera happy about it, and just be mindful of your surroundings, but also try not to make a big deal about it. Let each encounter just appreciate it and be thankful and grateful about it, and be respectful to them, and they'll let you come in a little closer
Absolutely.
as each time. So that's
Absolutely.
it.
Thanks everybody for showing up. And real quick, I know someone was saying about the deep underground bases. Vanessa, there's a documentary on Amazon Prime or Hulu or like Tubi. It's called Underground. If you could look that up, it's really good. It's very informative. But thank you everybody for showing up tonight. All the support from you guys. I really appreciate everyone coming. I think this is the most people I've had in a long time on the live stream and live chat. So I appreciate everyone's support tonight. It really meant a lot to me because after taking some time
Yeah.
off, needing that break, from dealing with a loss, it's hard to come back from. But God bless all you all, and I really appreciate you guys' support and being there for me. So we're gonna close this out. Y'all have a great night, and here's the closing outro. Here we go.
God bless everybody.